Have you ever wondered what it would be like to play a classic-style FPS like Quake, but set within the structure of a Souls-like or Metroidvania? Well, then you might want to pay attention to this one. What's up everybody, I'm Kirk, and today I'm going to give you my first impressions of ENCHAIN, an upcoming indie that mixes hard-hitting shooting with fast acrobatics within a dark, interconnected world begging to be explored. But before we get swinging, please be sure to subscribe to this channel for more videos on indies you never knew you needed. Alright, let's get started. ENCHAIN was actually put on my radar by one of my viewers who recommended it to me, and after 5 minutes of playing the demo, I knew it was something I had to talk about. ENCHAIN is being developed by one Mathew Lawrence, with help from composer Oliver Trinidad for the music. Mathew initially created ENCHAIN during the Ludum Dare game jam some years ago. ENCHAIN Classic, as he calls it now, is a solid little shooter with some unique mechanics. You can actually still play this version on his itch.io page. I recommend it. Seeing promise in his concept, Mathew took this fun little shooter and fleshed it out into a fast-paced, lantern-flinging, movement-focused Metroidvania shooter, where you play as a corpse who, according to Mathew, is trying to bring life back to his fleshless brethren. ENCHAIN's world is broken up into several large, distinct areas that announce themselves by some classic fade-in text and low ambient tones. Ooh, I might need to pop in Dark Souls after this. And much like those titles, there are fixed bonfire checkpoints to find, or in ENCHAIN's case, lanterns, where the player will respawn after they die. The demo features two main areas, with a third area at the end that isn't finished yet but open for players to explore. Getting some Blighttown vibes from this one. As you might expect, exploration is dependent on items and weapons you collect, as well as the abilities you learn, and the demo has a few satisfying shortcuts that can be discovered along the way. The goal of the demo is to collect 3 keys, which themselves are broken up into several pieces scattered all over the map. Once you assemble the 3 keys, you fight the boss, a 5-fingered monstrosity called the Hand of the Child. Gunplay is fast-paced and snappy, and gravity is more a suggestion than a rule, as you can easily juggle enemies around with your weapons. The demo features a rapid-firing revolver and a double-barrel shotgun. Both are a lot of fun to fire, but I have to shout out the chain gun that shoots chains and chains enemies together. A very pure weapon concept indeed. One of the things here that will help ENCHAIN stick out though is its emphasis on movement and platforming. There's plenty of bunny hopping goodness built into this game, and it feels great. And as I'm sure you've noticed, plenty of swinging with your trusty lantern and chain. We'll get into that more in a second. You can also tell this game is being aimed towards speedrunners. Even I couldn't help zooming through these danky caves on the most efficient path. In fact, there's already some impressive speedruns of the demo on YouTube, in case you're curious of what sort of voodoo can be pulled off. Complementing all of this is the ability to wall run and wall jump, as well as kick off the ground for an added boost. At the center of ENCHAIN's gameplay is the lantern and chain, which is a Swiss Army knife of mechanics. As a means of traversal, the lantern is able to hook onto wooden platforms, letting players fling and swing themselves through the environment. For combat, the lantern slams into enemies, eventually knocking them into the air. When this happens, you can snag them and fling them into walls, the most effective means of killing them. When an enemy is defeated, they drop white chain links, which fill up your lantern, indicated on the HUD. These serve a few purposes. The player can consume them to restore health, and they allow you to harvest ammo from captured enemies. However, the chain links are also what fuels the lantern's light. Get a little too carried away with collecting ammo and health, and you might find yourself alone in the dark. Oof, what happened to that series? What I like about the lantern, besides the raw mechanics, is that it challenges the player to be self-sufficient. There's no health pickups in this game, and the ammo pickups are sparse. So if you're on the verge of death or light on lead, it's up to you to take the initiative of turning that around. I'm also going to take a wild guess and say that when this comes out, not only will there be crazy speedrun videos, but also clips of people pulling off insane combos with the lantern and guns. You can actually see some of these in the game's trailer. I doubt my gameplay does justice for what is possible with this game. Now, while I enjoyed my time with the demo quite a bit, there are some things I felt could use some improvement before the game's full release. Graphically, I like what the game is going for. Very retro, low poly, with hints of modern rendering as seen in the lighting and shadows. In fact, while playing, I couldn't help but be reminded of the old Kingsfield games by From Software, which themselves were precursors to the Dark Souls titles. I like the simple flat shaded enemies, and the animation that went into the first boss to give it some personality. Plus, I dig the player character's sharp bony hands and erratic swinging lantern. That being said, the environments need a little work. Now, I will say that the environments do a decent job of conveying some atmosphere, helped in no small part by the lighting, but I'm just not a fan of the same texture being repeated over and over in the same place. A little monotonous, a little bland. We need some more texture variety here, as well as some decorative elements to help break up the game visually. And while I feel the level design so far is very solid, there are some spots that are just large and empty. Keep in mind, pockets of enemies tend to be spaced pretty far from each other, so there's not much for the player to do in these sections other than run through them, and there's not a whole lot to see. Finally, like I said before, I really enjoy the mechanics of the lantern and chain, and from what I can tell, the dev has put a lot of time into making these feel good and polished. But for me, the momentum from swinging felt a little stilted, a little slow. That's very much a nitpick and could be more of a sign of me not fully grasping the mechanic yet, but it wouldn't hurt to tweak and refine even more. I'm pretty impressed by this one so far. The combination of Metroidvania and classic shooter mechanics is something I think a lot of gamers are hungry for. I know I am. And the lantern is just so cool. ENCHAIN will be coming out sometime this year, but you can play the demo now through Steam. If you're interested, I highly recommend downloading and trying for yourself. Be sure to let me know what you think of it in the comments. I also have links for the Steam page and the developer's socials in my description, in case you want to give the dev your feedback directly. Be sure to check back to my channel for a full review of ENCHAIN when it releases. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. It is a massive help for this channel. Interested in an old school shooter with some hop in its step? Then be sure to check out my review of Ultra Kill Early Access. I post videos weekly, so be sure to ring that bell so you're the first to see them. I'm Kirk, and thank you for watching this video. Stay safe out there.